and environmental challenges. And we also have other initiatives and programs that we are running. Some of our flagship initiatives are the AFRISA project, which seeks to make data and research available to within the African context or on the African continent that will aid in policy making and decision making. We also have the Green Living Charts where environmental issues are discussed. We have people coming on board to share their stories. And then quite recently, the environmental chat unfiltered. And this is where we believe that we can come together and talk about the environment without, any barrier, without anything trying to cover up anything. And so, based on that, we decided that most of the major environmental holidays that we have around the world will be able to meet up and have some discussions about how to ensure environmental sustainability. And so we believe that through this advocacy, education, sensitization, we can also bring people's mind to also take care of the environment. And so I wish you all well as we discuss lots of things today based on the environmental day. And I do hope that you can all share with us your thoughts and your ideas. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so very much, Mr. Felix, for that brief and concise remark. If it were an open floor like that, I would have said a round of applause for you. But, but that is not bad. We have actually applauded you in our hearts. Thank you so much for setting the floor open and then, opening the stage for us to have a beautiful conversation this evening. Having said that, my name is Davidson Malison. I am a research analyst with AFRISA, an arm of ECO AMS Solution, and I will be anchoring or facilitating this program. And I hope that we are actually going to have a fun-filled day program, aim at, shaping our thoughts, our views, and our opinions as far as the environment is concerned. I welcome everybody to this particular program. I'm glad to be your anchor this particular event. Thank you so much. Having said that, may I also use this privilege to unpack and unravel the guests that will be doing justice to quite a lot of questions that have been set, particularly for this day. Permit me to welcome him, the chief guest of this particular event. He's no other person than Mr. Dakuhut Simdi Longyang. He is an epidemiologist, a communicable disease expert, a certified project manager with international project management professionals. He is also a registered member with Environmental Health Officers Registration Council of Nigeria. He has worked with quite a lot of NGOs across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Mr. Simdi, we are glad to have you as our guest speaker this evening. Welcome. Mr. Simdi? Hello?
I can hear you.
Yeah, you didn't hear? Yeah,
I did.
Okay, you're welcome once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davidson.
Yeah. Going forward, we have someone who is going to be assisting him in this panel discussion. He's one of our own in ECO AMS Solution. He's very vibrant. Simdi, can you tell those behind you to be quiet?
It's okay. It's all right. It's okay.
Yeah, like I was trying to say, we have somebody who's going to be backing you up or who's going to be among the panelists this particular event. He's one of our own in the EcoAME solution. He's a very prolific personality, someone who is a force to reckon with when it comes to research, when it comes to public speaking. This person is no other person than Mr. Wheezy. Can we welcome Mr. Wheezy?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
You're most welcome. So we also have Mr. Frank, who is at the background, ensuring that every technical challenge regarding this program is well curtailed. So Mr. Frank is a behind the scene man who is quite an expert in ensuring that all the technical hitches concerning this program are well settled. So after the introduction, without further ado, permit me to set the ball rolling by probably giving an overview of what this particular day stands. You know, when we talk about World Environmental Day, we're talking about a particular day set aside by the United Nations, that is UN, you know, on the 5th of June every year, where the day is celebrated to serve as a principal vehicle for encouraging awareness and action for the protection of environment. This particular, you know, program was first held in 1974. It has been a platform where awareness, like I say, on issues of environmental challenges have been raised. It has also, you know, touched quite a lot of areas like global warming, single-use plastic, marine pollution, overpopulation, sustainable consumption, you know, with quite a lot of participation from over 143 countries. You know, each year the program, you know, is provided with a team and a forum of business and non-governmental organizations, communities, government, and celebrities advocate for environmental causes. And that boils down to say, this is exactly what we're doing today. And permit me to align this with the words of Ban Ki-moon, former UN Secretary General, where he was once quoted as saying, environment is what holds us as human, and therefore the need for us to maintain it, the need for us to sustain it is key and pivotal. And when you check around the totality of the whole thing, you discover that the environment we are needs our constant, you know, engagement for it to be, you know, sustained, for it to retain the beauty that it holds. And God so kind, this year's event is marking the 50th anniversary of this entire day. And the day started with the theme, Only One Earth. And today, after it is marking its 50th anniversary, it has recollected the theme is started with Only One Earth. And that is why the 2022 theme has the same as the one it started with, Only One Earth. So, ladies, gentlemen, sorry, I almost said ladies and gentlemen. I just recall we don't have a lady here. So, gentlemen, that is the preamble of what this whole day, you know, signifies. So, at this particular point in time, like I said before, I unveil the panelists to begin to do justice to the questions we have. You know, particularly the theme for this year, Only One Earth, calls for transformative changes to policies, you know, and choices to enable cleaner, greener, and sustainable living in harmony with nature. It is focused on the need to live sustainably in harmony with nature and our possibilities for shifting to a greener lifestyle through both policies and individual choices. You know, so at this particular, it is quite a historic milestone for the United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, to have actually come out with such a beautiful initiative. Gentlemen, it is on this note, after giving a background of what this day holds, that I would like to say, can we roll with the set of questions we have? But before then, permit me to give this floor to the guest speaker in chief to probably say one or two things to, make familiarize with us, just 2 minutes before we can set the ball rolling. Mr. Cindy, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to the CEO and other participants. I welcome you to this wonderful day. It's actually a very, very remarkable day today. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yeah.
All right, all right, right. The World Environmental Day, just like you said, I'm very delighted to be part of this discussion. It's actually my honor. I'm honored to be here. And it's actually a thing of concern, knowing fully well what human being does to the environment and how it actually turns to affect us. The ecosystem is actually have an issue concerning anthropogenic activities caused by our activities, human in particular. And it's actually a good idea for those that started this program since the 1974, like you earlier said, has actually helped. And I'm very much happy that to some extent we are moving a bit positive dimension concerning protecting the ecosystem with our informed choices and lifestyle and policies. I'm glad to be part of this meeting. Whatever we'll be discussing, it's actually going to be for the betterment of the ourselves, and it's actually help. It will improve our health and other major things, which are actually the ecosystem itself. Because once if the ecosystem is not balanced, we don't expect to stay in this earth. The team haven't said only one earth. We know that it's only one earth. We don't have any other earth. It's the only planet that harbors living things. And I'm glad, like you said. Thank you for this privilege. I'm very, very, very honored. Thank you, Mr. Davidson, and everyone around.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cindy, for that short opening remark, so to say. I like what you said. When you were making your preamble, you said you're glad that the Earth is the only planet that hosts the living. That goes to say there are quite a lot that need to be done if that is actually what it is. So, as an expert, as an expert in the environmental field, can you give a synopsis of the 2022 theme for this World Environmental Day? A synopsis, of this particular theme. What does the theme really hold? And what does it really tend to achieve? Can you give us a synopsis of the 2022 theme for the World Environmental Day? Cindy?
All right. Thank you very much. The theme, which says only one Earth, it needs to live sustainably, to live a greener lifestyle, and we should live sustainably in harmony with nature. The theme actually it's very very much rich in the sense that only one Earth, like I said earlier, Earth is the only planet that harbor living things, and it is the fifth largest planet, and it is the third from the sun. And of all the planets on Earth, on all the planets on the solar system, that is the only planet in the universe where life originated. And the theme, with all the theme, we have seen what Earth is all about, and then greener lifestyle. What does that mean to us? It's actually meant that we have to live in the just not to harm the environment, the ecosystem. Like we look at it, it's actually an interaction between living things and the environment. And looking at the ecosystem, or looking at this theme this year, the synopsis looks at the earth itself, the greener lifestyle, and living in harmony, sustainably. The sustainability means meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs too. So if at the end of it, this haven't seen the greener lifestyle, which has to do with what? avoidance of all the anthropogenetic effects on the environment, which has to do with saving the water, emitting less carbon, like emitting less carbon, saving water, and other things like changing of lifestyle, waste management, eating greener foods. These are things, planting of trees, afforestation, because from all indication, we have discovered that deforestation is a major problem in Africa, to be precise. As at 2005, we've seen where Nigeria became the world, we had the highest rate of deforestation in the world as of 2005, which is actually very alarming. Countries like Ethiopia, they had famine because 98% of their forest is lost, which is actually a major concern. Madagascar, to be precise, the deforestation had caused them a loss of soil degradation. It led to soil degradation, water loss, and a lot. There are a lot, and if you look at Kenya, for instance, it has lost the 98. It has lost the forest coverage has dropped from 10% to 1.7%, which is very alarming. So living greener lifestyle, it's the most important. And the last thing is living in harmony, sustainably in harmony with the nature. We cannot live without this earth. This is our home. So we live in harmony, having the idea, having the notion that once we alter anything in the environment, it comes back to us. So that's just that for the little summary about the topic. Thank you.
Okay. That's quite fantastic. When you were talking, you were mentioning some technical terms as far as this environmental issue is concerned. You mentioned things like deforestation, degradation, the ecosystem. These are some of the terminologies revolving around these environmental stuffs that, we make do with them on our daily, living, yet we are not really following the tenets as far as beholding or holding them is concerned. Joseph Wood Crouch, one of the greatest philosophers, once said, "The earth is our mother. In spite of our desires to harm our mother, she always loved us forever." You said something. We do not have anywhere to go except the earth. And that means the earth is our mother, in spite of our desire to harm it, maybe through deforestation, through the degradation, the mother still loves us. But does that really means we should continue harming it using this code? What can you say on that regard?
Actually, it'll be true. There's no way, once we continue harming, that's the more reason why we're having a lot of issues. We have famine, we have so many drought, and because of harming the environment, it's actually the bad idea. If actually we will understand, affecting the ecosystem did not start today. And to some extent, this is actually the position where we need to come in and make sure we give the best awareness to the populace to understand that the deforestation, it's actually a problem, not to the earth itself, but we humans, and even the aquatic life and plants, everybody is affected. Having known that, we need to move from the lifestyle that we used to know and move to a greener lifestyle. We need to start planting of trees and other things, changing of lifestyle. Our lifestyle, and all this plastic disposal, waste management, we need to know all those things. We are not supposed to be harming the environment because the environment is our home. It's our home, and nobody is going to change that fact. So we need to make it clean and favorable for our own good.
Yeah, if I understand you correctly, that is to say, there is need for us, in spite of the love the mother has for us, there is need for us to stop harming it. Right?
Yeah, very, very much.
That's fantastic. Margaret Mead once said, "We won't have a society if we destroy the environment. We won't have a society if the environment is destroyed." Sure. Now, how can we, as African countries, judiciously utilize this particular theme in our quest for sustainable environmental activities, while you were talking, you make mention of Kenya, you make mention of other African countries, making, vis-a-vis comparison of what has actually been happening in those countries. Now, how can we, as African, countries, as a continent per whole, to, utilize this theme in our quest for sustaining environmental activities? How can we achieve that?
All right, thank you. Like I said earlier, we are the one harming the environment ourselves. Africa, in particular, most of the environmental problems are caused by anthropogenic activities. That is, we human beings. And I mentioned deforestation, which we have given example of African countries which are actually affected. There are other countries too. And talking about overpopulation too, which is another problem that we are facing. We can judiciously use all these things to correct the problems that we actually bring into the environment. Now look at overpopulation, for instance. It is said that in Africa, we have a population of 1.1 billion, but it is expected that we will exceed 2 billion in the next 30 years. So which is not actually a good thing. Looking at the developed nation, if you look at other countries, the developed countries, now, for instance, Nigeria is one among the top 10 the most populated country in the world. Now, looking at these statistics, with our population, it is predicted that in 2030, we will have a population of 527 million. And according to Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, it states that in the next, government fiscal year gave a prediction that by 2100, there are other 4 countries that will join Nigeria to become the top 5 in the whole world, which is actually not, we have limited resources to contain all this population. What I would suggest that we judiciously use, like for overpopulation, Kenya, for instance, adopted a vision 2030 as a 2009 of a birth rate from 5 to 3. They expected that they will achieve that vision by 2030, but then as of 2018, they've achieved that through awareness and education campaigns and funding from different organizations by awareness, giving people and now they have the birth rate of 2.18%, which is good. And looking at countries like Tanzania, Mali, Democratic Republic of Congo, by 2030, it will be among the top 5. And to some extent, it's actually not a pleasant thing. Having little resources, if you go to places in Nigeria like Maiduguri, the place is becoming a desert due to deforestation. As a result of, they only use the cutting down of trees as their own source of livelihood. So we can judiciously use this topic and now look at our lifestyle, the choices. The government should enforce laws. We should create awareness through campaigns showing the effects of pollution, topics like effects of pollution or the consequences of polluting the environment. People all around will now look at it and say, okay, now if there's a law like this, if I do this, it's actually going to be a problem. We remember in China, they got to a point that they had to put the birth rate from, it shouldn't be more than 2 kids. And at the end of it, they achieved some things. So if we are going to talk about family planning and others through awareness campaign, television, newspapers, and magazines telling people the effects of what we are doing to the ecosystem at the moment, we really need to shift from our lifestyle. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Okay. No. You did well. You did well. Yeah. I think you've quite given an overview of how Africa as a continent, can judiciously, make a good utilization of this team if it must sustain these environmental activities. That is quite insightful and impactful, so to say. at this point in time, Wheezy, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, Wheezy, are you there?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Albert Einstein, in one of his quotations, said, "The earth is everything. The earth is everything that is in it." And one of our own in Africa, Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, added by saying, "The earth is everything that is in it, therefore we must celebrate it." I earlier said in our preamble that this year's celebration marks the 50th anniversary of the Environmental Day. Taking a closer look at it, what are the challenges and the prospects thus far, Mr. Wheezy?
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. So thank you for the question and the challenges and the prospects. From what our guest speakers say, I would like to say thank you for the information given. That was enlightening. Yeah. So the challenges with these current environmental issues we are having. I will just give one or two challenges. One would be implementation. We easily come up with ideas. Let's do A, let's do B, let's do C. And it's on the paper. Now implementation of most of these brilliant ideas now becomes a major challenge for most nations and for countries, even for individuals who also trying to push through. So implementation is one of the main challenges. And the other, which in addition to that will be availability of the resources that are needed. Yeah, so we also need to also look into making use of the available resources. Sometimes we complain of lack of these resources, but when we look enough at what we have around, we realize the resources we are crying that they are not available are easily available. I think you were giving an example, and even the guest speaker, is it Medjugorje, right? Changing into a desert, because the people are like, our only source of fire will be wood. Yeah, but when you look well enough, you realize we can have alternate systems of generating heat, to meet up with the needs of the people. So implementation, then the availability of the resources. And then the other thing will be the need for the change in the mindset of the people. And that is one other thing we have to look at. So because if whatever new thing you present, men don't easily shift to changes. It takes time. So as part of the solution, that is where education comes in. And he talked of sustainability and the projections into the future. He was giving the example of how China and is it Kenya, right? So these people projected into the future. So for us to also bring about change, we need to start off with education, starting even with the little ones. The children are the future of every nation. So we can start off with the kids and also start off with the adults. Because if the kids hear the education, the change, the plans regarding the new things we want to implement from school, and you go home and your parents are singing the same song to you, so this now get imprinted into them. They grow with it. So I think with this, so one, we can look at the implementation, the change of mind, and then availability of resources. And so as part of the solution, we can also look at education. I think we can start off with that, and then as we progress, other points will also come up. So thank you. Davidson.
Mm. That's excellent, dear Chief Wheezy. Am I really permitted to call you Chief? That's in a lighter note, anyways. But while you were talking, I particularly I was really carried away by one point you make mention. You know, change of mindset. You know, it is known and it has been proven thus far. In Africa, we have a very rigid, you know, mindset when it comes to getting adapted to new technologies, new ideas, new innovations. There are quite a lot of creativities that might come to display. You know, I was really, you know, captured by that. You know, but then I was somehow comforted again when I check and said, yeah, in the words of Sadhguru, where it said, if humanity has to live for a long time, you have to think like the earth, act as the earth, and be the earth, because that is what we are. You know, that is what we are. Think like the earth, act like the earth, and that is what we are. When we begin to think like that, our mindset will be shifted in that direction. Cindy.
Yes, sir, Mr. Davidson.
Yeah, fantastic. While you were making your presentation, you spoke about ecosystem and the need for that to be restored.
Yeah.
You know, that is exactly the theme that was really discussed in 2021 as far as Environmental World Day is concerned. Now, using a gauge, can we boastfully say it, the ecosystem has been restored, or we still have a long way to go?
Okay, thank you very much. Like I said, ecosystem, they are dynamic communities of plants and animals and microorganisms interacting with their physical environment as a functional unit. This has to do with the equilibrium in the environment. Man doesn't harm the environment doesn't harm man. Okay, now last year theme has to do with ecosystem restoration. You can agree with me in the house that we still have a long way to go. That is just the truth. We still have a long way to go because we are still destroying this ecosystem by our ranges of activities, from land clearing, urbanization, emission of air pollution, waste management. We have a lot. We still have a long way to go. Now, ecosystem restoration doesn't just happen within a short time. It is something that we need to take time. It's all about our mindset, like we said. From what he just finished saying, if you look at it, strong point is that we have been rigid, very, very rigid, in looking at our own good in aspect of controlling what is affecting the environment. So we still have a long way to go. Having said that, with all the activities, oil spillage, if you go to places like Bayelsa in Nigeria, you will believe me that they hardly get good drinking water because of oil spillage. So we cannot restore the environment if we are not taking proactive measures towards curtailing all these activities that we do to harm the environment. So ecosystem is not restored. It takes a longer period. Now let's take, for instance, if like I gave example with Maiduguri, that deforestation is actually the key. They have been cutting down of trees from one end to another. If we want to restore afforestation, we want to now create the forest back to its original shape. Now let's look at it. For instance, now we cut down a tree that was there for 500 years. Before any that, if we're even planting trees at that moment, we don't expect the tree to get to a matured forest within 2 years or 3 years. So we have a long way to go. It's a gradual process, and we are included in this process of restoring the ecosystem. But at the moment, to be candid, nobody will tell you that the ecosystem is restored. We still have a long way to go. We need to make an informed choices and policies.
Okay, that's fantastic. That I like the concluding part where you say we still have a long way to go. That is to say, we are all critical stakeholders as far as this struggle is concerned. Let me use that unionism word. As far as this struggle is concerned, we are all stakeholders. And that is one of the co-essence of this particular engagement that we're having today, so that we can, across Africa, across boards, give ourselves the much expected sensitization and enlightenment, so that we can translate them back to our communities, our societies, and then we can see how we can fetch it from there. But meanwhile, our guest speaker has been doing well so far. And then our guest speaker permits me to introduce other fellows who join in the course of this conversation. While the conversation was ongoing, I noticed the presence of one of the newly AFRISA research analysts, Collins Tete. You're welcome, Collins. Collins? Collins?
Hello, David.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's a great honor to be part of the Renewable team, and I look forward to amazing chats, which is still ongoing. I've seen the intellects here, and then they are sharing their opinion.
Yeah, thank you, Collins. Again, we also have Anderson Adeswa. I hope I should be pardoned if I don't make the right pronunciation here. Anderson, you're warmly welcome to this conversation.
Thank you, Davidson. It's you are pardoned for today.
Wow.
I'm enjoying the conversations.
Fantastic. So, Mr. Simdi.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, while you were talking, like I earlier said, you quite x-ray a lot of things. But then the other part of the theme that we actually captured for this particular program, said shift to a greener lifestyle and live sustainably in harmony with nature. How can one, shift? What are some of the procedures? What are some of the ways, that one can shift to a greener lifestyle and there henceforth live in harmony with nature? Can you take us through this ride?
Like I said, we can shift to a greener lifestyle through creating awareness, or raising awareness to the community or the general population on for instance, going green. That is planting of trees. Everybody should plant trees, which is actually the most important. Afforestation, for instance, we need to plant trees through campaigns and telling people, educating people. Education is another part of it. Through motivating them, you educate them through either through newspapers, you give informations on television. You let people know that this is it. Now there's something they call Earth Hour, or Light Hour to be precise. It is actually it is a kind of activity that it is done where in every aspect they will announce every person will now off his light for 1 hour in order to avoid or to reduce the electrical effects on the environment. And then other things like education is key. Education is key, because now you don't expect someone that is in the urban area to have the same knowledge with one who is in the rural area. So now going green is achievable if we now create awareness to people through campaign, and we now educate them, we now show them what does it mean, or we now give topics, discussions on radio for those that cannot have access to television. We can make it on television, topics such as the effect of pollution, or now topics like consequences of polluting the environment. If we have those things, then people will now look at it, okay, if there's a consequence for polluting the environment, there's a change in lifestyle. The fact that we're rigid, we still have some kind of human understanding that if we are told that, look at it, this is bad, if you do this, it is going to attract a fine. And government in another way will now key into this by enforcing the law, prohibiting those who now punishing those that break those laws. by now telling them the consequences of polluting the environment. If you're used to disposing waste, like solid waste, we look at it, people practice open dumping, which is very, very bad. If we can be educated and do a simple incineration by providing, or even these drums, or not necessarily constructing a bio incinerator, but then in a sanitary manner, if waste have been disposed or sanitary landfill, we can practice composting instead of disposing waste into our water bodies, which is actually at the end of it, will come back to affect us. Then going green is going to be achievable through campaigns, through awareness, through education. Thank you.
Okay. Wow, I love that, through campaigns, through education, sensitization, going down to the main roots, and then bringing everybody on board, knowing the effect, the consequences, and what it beholds. That's quite incredible, Mr. Simdi. Mr. Anderson, are you there? Mr. Anderson, are you there? Anderson?
Hi, Davidson.
Oh, wow. I hope you're on standby, because I just want to throw one bombshell to you that I want you to quell it. That's on a lighter note anyways. Robert Oben, once said, let's nurture the nature so that we can have a better future. Let's nurture the nature so that we can have a better future. There are 3 rhymes in that chord: nurture, nature, and future. Looking at that vis-a-vis the activities of single-use plastic that we have in Africa, so to say, I don't know how you can take us through looking at the activities of single-use plastic in Africa and the quest to ban them due to the effects. What can be done to enforce a stringent ban, giving us a brighter future?
Is this Anderson? For me, Davidson?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Well, I think you've asked a very important question, which is quite complicated. I wouldn't say complex, but it's complicated. The extent is this: 1, do we need a ban in the first place? Is a first question to ask ourselves.
Mm.
And if we need a ban based on our own assessments, what alternatives can we provide? Right? Because you cannot ban something that people have been used to for a very long while, which impacts their lives always and at every time, and leave it just like that. Okay. So what alternatives exist? And will these alternatives, at the end of the day, come back into the whole circular economy concept? So that is key.
Mm.
We have to be sure that alternatives that do come in are not plastics, where after its use or end of life, they remain in the environment and cannot be taken out. And frankly speaking, it is expensive to do it. It's not simple as many people say, or many people think it should be. Yes, in some contexts, or some plastics need to be banned. However, others also are essential because they ensure that the food that some of us have do not go bad easily. Okay. So take a simple plastic wrap that can prolong the life shelf or the shelf life of food for a while. And let me do this analysis for you.
Okay.
If you leave meat, okay, without that plastic wrap for a while, or let me just even use fruits. If you leave it, if you don't put those around it, what happens is that it might not take very long. It's going to go bad. And I'm not just talking about what you see in the grocery shop. We are talking about the whole food loss chain, where it's from production, okay, all the way to getting into the shops that we go and purchase, or retailers that we go and purchase from. So to increase the shelf life, there are some that I call essential plastics that we need to have in place. However, majority of them, I would say, for the single-use ones, we do not need them. If the fruits and all of that go bad, and then we are not also composting, for example, and we are taking them to the landfill, what we are doing is that we are generating methane, right, which is a very potent greenhouse gas, as we all know, right? So, I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that it's not as simple or as easy as let's ban it. You know what I mean? Trying to have a ban is good, but then you need to do the studies very well. You need to really analyze it and see which alternatives. I always say the alternatives would matter. I go back to the fruits that I'm talking about. I don't believe that every fruit in the store should have plastic packaging around it. Why can't we have fruits that are out there that I just pick it up and put in my basket or my shopping bag or reusable bag, bring it home, come and use it. You know what I mean? We don't need all these little plastic bags around food, fruits, and all the time. And that what might sound contradictory to what I said initially in terms of prolonging the shelf life of it. But that's also a fact. You know what I mean? So what do we do in this context? Are we going to look at local production so that if food is produced within a particular region and is taken to the grocery shops, we are able to go there, purchase them, and go home without any plastics, as it's been done in various areas, as they call the farmers market concept, right? So you go, it's usually fresh produce. I mean, there's some ones that are not really going by the concept, but let's say we have a real farmers market where you go, you purchase stuff, and then you go home. You don't have any plastics around your fruits, your vegetables, or whatever it is, right? So in trying to summarize, I would say, yes, we need to ban certain plastics, for sure. However, we need to find the alternatives. How will the alternatives look like? Will they be expensive? Will it be able to create jobs? Because the alternative we are creating is going to be part of the circular economy concept, where what someone considers to be waste will become a feedstock for another level of production, right? And that is possible. So the research, the R&D needs to be done for us to find these alternatives. And I have to say that you have to also ease yourself slowly. You do not want to ban 10, 20 types of plastics when you don't have the alternatives yet. You know what I mean? So you start with those that can be dealt with easily. I don't like straws, right? That's just me. I go to a restaurant and they give me water and they put straw in there. I don't know why I have that straw in there. It doesn't make any sense to me. You know, so we can look at the ones, the low-hanging fruits, deal with them, learn from that, and then to be able to use it going forward for the bigger stuff. So that's basically what I can tell you for now.
Okay. That's quite good, Mr. Anderson. Thank you for taking us through that ride. And like I said, I knew you were going to give us an exciting explanation pertaining that. So thank you for that wonderful point there. Collins, are you there?
Hey, David.
Yeah, I want us to, you know, look at the whole situation, you know. What are the most effective methods, you know, technologies and instruments for nature protection and ecosystem? What can be used, you know, new technologies that can be used in terms of, you know, making sure that this 1/8 struggle is sustained? Are there some technologies and instruments for nature protection, natural ecosystem, and biodiversity that we can actually employ?
David, your question again. It seems to be breaking.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Wow, I said, what are the most effective method, technologies and instruments for nature protection, natural ecosystem, and biodiversity that we can, make use as far as ensuring that One Earth struggle is sustained?
Okay, thank you. So, I mean, I'll take it from some parts of what was shared earlier on with regards to some parts of the fruits that we have that when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the stores, you find out that they are there, and then you're looking at how best we can also package them, or how best we can also nurture them in a way that we can also have value for them. But when it comes to technologies, there's been advancement of a lot of things over the time. Specifically, machines have now been put in place to store or to make sure that certain products that we are using are kept in a way that we have more value for them, versus where if we had to use them in alternate ways where it had to be packaged with plastics, then you realize that they are going to have effects not only on us, but on the products that we are also having. So when it comes to emerging technologies, there are a lot of them to consider. We have the green transformation option. We have the onshore wind projects option as well. Green energy solutions when it comes to all those segments. But most likely, to ask this question, it's also going to delve much more into what are the specifics that we are looking to solve when it comes to our nature. Because all these are segments of options that are used in different ways or different mediums. But at the end of the day, for example, if you talk about the solar, it has its own form of, if we want to use the energy-based for the resources that or for any form of situation that we find ourselves in, we realize that if you are using the solar energy, it's going to also have value for us, not only on us, because we are going to use the sunlight, we are going to trap it for a purpose where we don't have to fall on our electrical systems on all ways of getting electricity to manage all the resources that we have. So this question, yes, when it comes to technology, yes, there's been advancements, there's been a lot of education when it comes to that, but most importantly, it has to do with the segment of the options which are available and what we are really solving. Other than that, we'll be tapping all the options available and we'll still not be having any solution. So that's my take on that.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Collins. Your final statement will just be beating around the bush without anything. That is what we call in physics, work done all of our time taking equals to zero. Equals to zero. And you know what? I just saw this your earpiece, and I was thinking maybe you're on plane, flying outside Ghana, heading to China, Russia to go and maybe help Vladimir Putin. Anyways, that's an lighter note. Honestly, I really love the explicit explanation you gave, in terms of employing technology in the course of sustaining this One Earth system. Of course, technology is something we can never shy away from when it comes to making sure that environmental issues are sorted out. So I like the path you took in taking us all this. Well done, and thank you so much. Mr. Simdi?
Yeah.
We are almost rounding up. We'll round up in no distant time. You spoke a lot about so many things. And looking at your age, sorry to say, you are a young man. You are a young man, and your CV has said you have actually worked with quite a lot of NGOs, but how can we match, this struggle alongside other contributions of non-governmental organizations, corporate organizations, and individuals in solving all these environmental issues? How can we, incorporate them in this quest? How can we bring them in?
Thank you very much. I I'm happy. I'm young too. Thank you. Thank you for that. To be candid, if NGOs, if in Nigeria, for instance, if we don't appreciate NGOs, we have a big way to go. Because I'm opportune to work with two NGOs in Maiduguri. One is Medicine Sans Frontiers, MSF, is a medical outreach. One is another Halima, Alliance for International Medical Action. These are NGOs have actually helped in actually helping us to improve on our issue of food security, looking at it because it's even mentioned in our topic. The World Environmental Day today is looking at problems like the wildlife trade, the food security. Now, these NGOs have actually played a very good role. In fact, in Africa, generally, if you look at history, I doubt if there's any continent that is being assisted like the way Africa is being given the support from different NGOs. NGOs like it plays a crucial role in conducting research to facilitate policy development, building instrumental policies. These are NGOs that actually help the country to move to at least not actually from the way we are, but then we are moving in a gradual, like I said earlier about restoration. Ecosystem restoration doesn't take a single day. We need to move in a gradual process. Like I told you, Alliance for International Medical Action as an example of an NGO that actually deals with, it's a medical NGO that offers services like maternity services, pediatric concern, adult medical, inpatient and outpatient, and even nutrition. They give nutrition services to the population. And organizations like International Red Cross, they actually look at the aspect of reproductive health, a lot of things. And Solidarity International, for instance, they are into WASH, that's water and sanitation. These are NGOs that have actually assisted. If you go to Maiduguri, you hardly know, you cannot count the number of NGOs that are really working, looking at all these herdsmen, Boko Haram, all these problems we are facing in Nigeria. Not only in Nigeria, other African countries are facing this same issue. It has actually helped these NGOs actually do the best. We actually move, at least from now, you go to we discover that Boko Haram entered, and now there's a great improvement. So this corporate organization, NGOs, are actually good. Actions Against Hunger is another international NGO that provides food to the population. All the IDPs, they're actually helping. So corporate organization, NGOs, they are playing a vital role, bringing them into the system. And aside that, the fact that they are doing their best, it is left for us. Like we earlier said about being rigid. If you have an organization in your country and is doing the best, if you are not ready to change, you cannot change, no matter what they do. So it is our own responsibility as an individual to have this positive change towards living a sustainable life, towards having harmony with nature. Because once we harm this nature, we are going to have issues. How I wish we would have. There are other organizations that there's one promotion of Natural Resource Defense Council is another organization that ensures everybody has right to clean water and healthy wild space. There's another one tree planted. It is an organization, is a non-profit organization that has to do with campaigns on planting of trees. If at the end of it now, you come to my country and you are advising me to plant trees, if I'm not ready to change, automatically your effort is fruitless. So the major thing is for us to have a positive change and then understand what these NGOs are doing. They're actually doing a lot. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Simdi, for that good point there. I think we have exhausted our time. And then we are coming to a point where we will have the curtain of this discussion drawn. But before then, I'd like to give this opportunity to everyone that has spoken, to say final words, in just few seconds. Mr. Wheezy, are you there?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to add the Chief Wheezy. Are you there? Can you give us your final thought about the whole thing, just in brief? Just 1 second.
All right. So I guess what has to be done is we should be ready for change. We should be ready for change, and that will always come with some level of uneasiness. It's change is not easy, but we should be ready for change. So just one word for it, we should be ready for change.
Wow, that's beautiful. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, change begins with you. Change begins with me. That's quite interesting. Mr. Collins, can you give us your final thought? Collins?
He's offline. I can't see him.
Okay, Collins is offline. Anderson?
Offline.
All right. Our guest speaker for the day, can you give us your final thought? But even as you add up to that, is sustainability a mirage?
Of a truth, sustainability is a mirage, or is ultimately sustainability development is the pursuit of a mirage. Now, there's something we call the politics of never getting there. To escape this illusion, we must break through a new way of understanding sustainability by focusing on the deep needs of present, not slippery obligation to the future. Rising to the carbon challenge now, not trying to micromanage the longer term, looking to the science of others for magnitude and direction, not a game plan, harnessing the short-term dynamics of capitalizing the cost of learning is our way forward. Automatically, if we are going to, is actually a mirage, but then if we really want to make it a reality, we need to change our life. It's just all about changing of lifestyle. Like I said, finally, like you said, I have some words to put across. The first one is harmony. That's conveying the importance of dealing with the relationship between humans and nature. The second one is evenness. That is, we suggest joint development of all aspects of sustainable development goals. There are all these SDGs that we have them. We're not really following. There's nothing that is working for all these SDGs. We need to have the evenness. And the last word there is leave no one behind, indicating that human development should benefit everyone, regardless of race, gender, and social class. The environment is our precious gift. Our environment is facing a big danger. Saving this environment is the need of the hour. It is the biggest concern of humanity right now. Any delay in this regard could be disastrous. I just hope that we will work with this and ensure that we live a sustainable life in harmony with nature. Thank you.
Wow, that's a powerful closing remark. Thank you, Mr. Cindy, for taking us through that beautiful remarks. In closing, thank you for your time once again. But I know I don't have the requisite power to extend that warmest appreciation because the CEO is going to do that himself. And I think we have come to the end of this conversation or panel discussion. It was quite enriching, enlightening, and soul lifting, so to say, because we have gained a lot, we have been impacted, and we have been taught quite a lot of things we need to do as far as sustainable environmental, issues is concerned. Having said that, at this point in time, I would like to give this opportunity to Mr. Felix, who is rubbing minds with Xi Jinping in China, to give us the closing remark before I wrap it up.
Okay, so thank you so much. Davidson, thank you so much for being the moderator for this session, the World Environment Day. I think that looking at what we have discussed tonight or today, I believe that that's the reason for the environmental unfiltered chat, and it only seeks to get experts and everyone who is sort of interested in environmental related issues, what we can do to achieve environmental sustainability. And just like our guest speaker said, we have this penchant for actually not working hard to achieve the things that we say we want to do. But I believe that if we really want to save our earth, we want to save the environment, then we need to walk the talk, right? Enough of the policies and all that. We need to make serious efforts to be able to achieve these goals or targets that we have set, because there's no other earth. We know that scientists are doing their best, to discover other planets where life can be sustained. The question is, even if they do find it, how many people can afford? So this is the only place that we have, and we need to ensure that we keep it for us and the generations yet unborn. So let me use this opportunity to thank our guest speaker for sharing his thoughts, his experts' view on the theme for the World Environment Day. We are very grateful for your time and also for the knowledge that you have shared with us, and even to our viewers and those who tune in to listen, and also to the other panel members, Wizzy, Anderson, and Collins. I think they are offline now, and also to Davidson with all his quotes and everything, how you moderated. I think that it was a very wonderful discussion that we've had. Let it not end here. Let's keep sensitizing and educating people, and let's see what we can do. So thank you guys, and we hope to see you again in the next environmental program that we have to keep deliberating on what we can do to save our earth. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Felix, for those words. It has been an interesting conversation this evening. Thank you so much for those words of appreciation, especially to our guest speaker and all the people who form the panel group. Thank you so much. I think is Frank around so that we can possibly have a group photo? Is it possible? Felix?
Yes, Frank, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, Frank. Hello, Frank.
Oh, you can do it from there.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Let me take another one.
Okay.
Let me take another one. Okay, so.
All right.
Let's keep our smiles on. Let me take the last one. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Thank